Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are here in London MoneyLive conference, and I have right near me Mr. Tobias. Hello, how are you?
Great to have me here. Thanks, I'm fine.
All the questions with all the people that we met here, we made interviews here, were related to different topics. But one of the topics that appeared in every side of interview or in private discussions is that fintech and banks finally now collaborating, they're building collaborations, they moving each other, they push each other. How is for you this collaboration, where we were, for example, 5 years ago and where we are now with collaboration between banks and fintechs?
I mean, it's a really interesting question because just to go 10 or 15 years ago, because 10, 15 years ago, banks believed that fintechs going to eat our lunch. And that's slightly changed in the last year. So what we see is that fintechs get really one of the strongest and important provider to accelerate and to transform the business in the manner of digitalization of banks. So what we see there, they get more a collaborational approach. Fintechs get a partner of a couple of banks, not of all banks, because you always have the question, make or buy, if you want to transform and to implement some new solutions.
And how it was this synergy built? It was an innovation that came from fintech and banks just were in a situation to adopt it, or it was a market request, or maybe banks saw a possibility here?
I mean, I think there are different approaches that I can observe. A couple of years ago, there were fintech which offer a single product, for example, a KYC product or a product to analyze AML, transactions, etc. So that's slightly changed now. These single product fintechs are not anymore so important. What we see is there are much more a portfolio of different applications which are offered to banks. But also there's a couple of fintechs which are just offering like the engineers who are able to define the new software, new solutions by request of the banks.
And find innovations, help banks to innovate and so on. So yeah, so this synergy that between the banks and fintechs evolved very much, and they help the banks to evolve and to increase their business portfolios and so on. How do you think where it will evolve in future? How it will look like this partnership in several years?
I think it will not change as strong as perhaps some participants will expect. I think we will see a consolidation. If you're, for example, looking today to fintechs who are driving the tokenization of assets, tokenization of money, etc., there's really a huge range of fintechs which are available there. The same in the electronic identification processes, where also a couple of providers are still on the market there. So, but I'm convinced that there will be a consolidation in this manner. So there will be some bigger provider who serve on a wider range. And I also can imagine that some of these fintech will be integrated in the solution of banks as well.
Because we are here in the United Kingdom, I would like to ask you a specific question regarding the United Kingdom's market between banks and fintech and European Union market and fintech and banks exist. Do you see a collaboration, a strong collaboration between, UK entities like banks with European Union entities in fintech, or European banks with UK fintechs? Is this cooperation a solid one? It's a good signal for cooperation, or still a lot of things to work on?
I think there was a more strong collaboration before the Brexit.
Of course.
And what we see, it depends mainly on the point if the fintech needs to be any kind of license. So in case that is a license, so the UK license doesn't help you in continental Europe and other way around. So I think that's a really, really important point. And the question is how we can collaborate also on this regulatory way more after the Brexit now was happened to strengthen the cooperation between the fintech and the banking market.
Thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much for answering the questions, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Thanks, it was a pleasure.